Okay, we had my punch list taken care of before the drywall starts. What I've got here is this is the Ovation shower that Home Depot carries, just that round front one. Problem I'm having with this is, I know I mentioned this before, is that usually when I frame in for a tub or a shower, it's supposed to be 5 foot rough. It means it's going to be 5 foot in between your rough framing. And I usually add, a 1/4 inch or so to make sure things slide in okay. Problem here is that I didn't do that. And so what I'm having to do is, it's tight. I'm having to shave off, areas of these studs on the outside. The next stage after that is going to be making sure that my piping lines up exactly the way it should. None of this in there is glued right now. It's just kind of resting in there. Where I screwed up at is my box, which is here, should have been this way a couple inches. On a tub, this would be okay because you've got room to reach in there, but on the shower, I've only got about that much space to get my hands in there. So I'm going to try and, I got a couple ideas what I'm going to try and do, but it's not going to be fun either way. So once I get that set up and arranged, then I've got to put a bed of mortar down to level it because it's low in the back and it's low on this side. And I don't think that is the concrete. I think the concrete's fine. I just really think that the shower pan is off that much. It's on the to-do list and needs to get done before drywallers get here. And this is one of those tasks that I'm not looking forward to, but I don't have a choice. So, wish me luck. I've shaved off enough. If I raise it up this way, I can put it right down in there and it fits fine, which is good because that means this is the last side to go down. I can hopefully get my hands in there and line up the pipe and everything. Putting a mark there on the wall where this is at without any mortar in it. And then I'm going to go back. I've already done it here. I've raised it up where the mark is, that one, and that one shows me where level is at. It's still going to be pretty tricky. I would give myself probably a 60-40 chance I'm going to screw this up. I'll let you guys decide which one's the 60, which one's the 40. Okay, so I went ahead and transferred my lines all the way around. What I did was took, this is the line where the shower tub actually sat, and then I transferred that over to this one because the pivot point was further back. Then I went from the edge of this and then leveled it across to the wall here, and this is my level mark right here. And then I went from this corner and leveled it on down and across like so, all the way down to this side. So this is level. This is where the tub or the shower pan actually sits. So I've got to put, that's about 1 inch of mortar in there. And then again, I transferred that down to about this point where the stall ends. So now I've got that gap there. So what I'm going to do now is take this measurement and transfer it down to the bottom so I know how far up to bring my mortar. So if this is 1 inch, whatever it is, I'll measure off the ground, measure up, put a tick mark, and that way I will know how high I need to put that mortar. I'm thoroughly unconvinced the more and more I mess with this that it's not going to go in very smoothly. I went ahead and drew an outline of the curvature of the shower, and I'm just looking at this edge. So we are 1/2 inch there and 1.25 inches here, which makes sense because the tub slopes. So it makes it even harder. So I'm just going to basically take some mortar and slap a pile here, slap a pile there, and just slap a bunch of piles out there. Get this set in place, and then tap it with a mallet, and hopefully that mortar will squish out enough and dry it to the point where it's level. My concern in doing that is that it may crack or fall apart, and then I'm just going to put a very poppy, cracky sound every time you step into the shower. That's all I can think of. I'm sure others out there watching this are going, you know, man, you idiot, you just do it like this. But I've never put one of these in before like this, so learning experience. So I took a quick pause to watch some YouTube videos, because that's the best place to learn anything these days. And pretty much everyone just slaps down some mortar and goes to town. So they kind of did what I did, where they measure to see exactly how much they think they're going to need. And they throw mortar down, tap it here, tap it there until it's good to go. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is replace that shower pan probably several times until I get that pipe lined up exactly where I need it to be. Okay, I've got my plumbing down there pretty well centered. Luckily my arm can fit that in there. What you guys missed was the first time I tried this, I got my arm stuck. It went beyond my elbow, and the elbow bone would not let me get it back out. Anyways, got it pretty well centered there. I'm going to go ahead and take the pan off and use a Sharpie to kind of mark where the fittings are going to be at, so when I glue it together I'm not off. Get as close as I can that way. And there's a little bit of play in here. You know, this will be able to shift around just a little bit. So if I'm off, you know, probably up to 1/4 inch or so, I'm fine. If I get much more than that, it may be a little bit of a stretch to get it in there. So I've got to get that, and I've got to, I'll probably go ahead and put the bottom in, that way I can dry fit it, which is going to be tough because this isn't level yet. So I may go get a piece of wood, stick it under here to get it as level as I can, and then try and dry fit it off that. Because on my fitting, I don't know where my fitting went, but I believe I have no idea where my fitting went. Great. Well, I think I may have just really lucked out here. I had some 1-inch wood pieces, and I put them along the back row just to trying to get the level on here a little bit closer. And turns out that is really darn close to being perfectly level. So I'm going to actually leave those blocks in there when I put the pan down, and then throw in my mortar still, because it's got to come up just a little bit. But at least I know that if I knock it down too far, it can only go down to where those blocks are at. So this is, I mean, we're like within, I mean, see my marks on the back there, we're within probably less than 1/4 inch. I did find my fitting, and I thought I had more space than that, but that's only 3/4 of an inch max is the amount of play I have in there. I thought this was a lot deeper. Being a lot deeper, I don't know if that's would be a good thing or a bad thing, but in this case it would be a good thing, because that means I have room to screw up. I'm definitely feeling a lot better. Earlier I said it was a 60-40, and I was probably more on the 40 side of having success. I think I'm closer to the 60% side now of actually getting this in there straight. I think I'm lucking out here. It's getting better and better. That 60-40 is up to about 75-25 now. Now 70-30. So it turns out I can just get my hand in there to adjust this. So right now this is just barely inside there. So I'll get everything glued, check it again, and then my pipe will probably only need to be maybe a 1/2 inch longer than what it is now. Okay, I've gone ahead and pulled out my trap, And what I've done here is just mark the depth and the angle in which I need to glue these pieces together. This one I was a little concerned about. The first one didn't turn out good, so I actually gave myself three marks there to make sure I get the angle and everything right on that one. And this one I actually took that off. So what I do now is, the reason why I took it off is I want to check my depth. So see right there, I've got probably about 75% of the pipe is going to be in that fitting, which is good to go. So you can see here I've got, you know, a good gap there. So I may look at that and think, well, that's not going to be good enough. Then when I take it off, you can see I've got still about that 75% gap in there. Now when you put your glue on here, it'll slip in all the way. So the reason why you put your depth mark is to make sure that the way I dry fit it in the hole is the way it's going to go together up here. So I'll go ahead and get this all glued together and put back in place. Went ahead and cut my new riser piece in there so it fits in there perfect now. So I'll pull it out, mark it, get that glued. And then it's kind of weird, when I put these two blocks in the back, that gets it really close to being level. Then this side raised up. You can see it moving there. It's up about 1/8 of an inch or so. So if I push that down, everything is level, but then this side is off just a little bit. If I leave it the way it is, then I think this back side is off a little bit. It's kind of strange, like the pan is almost twisted. Well, I'm pretty sure I screwed that up. So when I was putting this in, I put my blobs of mortar around everywhere and then ended up walking on it. And I said how this side was down. Well, what happened is that still has some play in it. And so when I stepped here, it pushed down. When I stepped over there, it raised it back up. So right now it should be resting on the mortar over there, but not over here. And because I pushed it down, there's probably a gap between the mortar and the bottom of the pan now. So that leaves it open for a chance for this to move and pop a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, I can't take it up now because I already glued that fitting. I probably should have had more mortar. I thought I had enough, but I ran out. But I've got, blobs all over the place. So my only thought now is to basically come in under here. In fact, I may be able to see. I can see that blob there. I can probably see if that's touching or not. And I'll bet that it's not. So I'm going to try and do is get some shims. Maybe I can push that mortar up under there a little bit more too. But I think the rest of it, well, you can see there too. I've got that little bit of a gap between the mortar and the pan. So don't think that quite worked out the way I wanted it to, but at least on these I can push this up in there, maybe get that a little better. I don't know if this worked out or not. If it didn't work, we're going to have a popping and cracking shower pan here. I think that's probably going to be the case, unfortunately. Like I said, I've never done one of these before. Live and learn. Well, in an attempt to try and get this nice and secure, I went ahead and put some pan head screws in around, and I shimmed where it was pulled out away a little bit. I did get some shims under this corner, and I did try and mush up the mortar in these two corners that I could reach. So I'm fairly confident that this will be okay, but I really have no idea. So if it pops and cracks, I guess it pops and cracks. There's not a whole lot I can do about it now without tearing the whole thing out and which I suppose I could do. I just have to cut the pipe down there and take it up, but I don't know. That's not a desirable outcome. So, well, I had a little bit of time to think about this, and actually I could unscrew that and then pop it back up. So what I'm going to do is wait till this dries, give it a few days, and I'm going to walk on it and see if it pops and cracks. And if it does pop and crack, so I got to wait for the mortar to dry. I'll give it a few days to do that. Maybe it's Sunday right now. I'll give it to maybe this next weekend. If it does pop and crack, I can take all my screws out. I should be able to unscrew that and hopefully pop this up and then try and redo it. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm hoping it'll be okay. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, I know these screws back here, they'll keep it from pushing down. If the bottom flexes a little bit, which just has a pretty beefy bottom, hopefully that won't happen. I think the biggest concern I have is over in this corner. Of course, I don't want it to flex and then actually bust these fins off up here either. So I don't know. We'll see.